MeMonster.
Chapter 31. Ah. A short groan escaped my lips. My body ached all over. Skeleton bones were scattered around me, and I was lying on the ground. It had been a tough fight. I had no talent for close-range combat, but I didn't want to waste precious bullets on skeletons, so I transformed Aether into a club and used it as a melee weapon. Now that the ginseng's effect had worn off, I wondered why I did something so reckless. Maybe it was true that a strong mind came from a strong body. I would have died if they were black skeletons. Each time I swung the club, I destroyed 3 or 4 white skeletons. That was how strong my body was, but the fight still took 25 minutes. If the monsters I fought weren't just low-ranked white skeletons, I didn't even want to imagine the outcome. I sat up and scratched my back with a skeleton's bone, lost in thought. I managed to obtain Aether and Evandal's seed. This was the biggest accomplishment I had made since being transported into my novel. To confirm my achievement, I opened my laptop. You obtained 47 SP. But what I gained from the system wasn't much. Was it because Aether wasn't a well-known weapon at this point? The SP wasn't much. Variable stats: Strength 2.455, Stamina 2.545, Speed 2.85, Perception 3.705, Vitality 2.465, Magic Power 1.925. But the increase in variable stats was worth noting. Thanks to Aether boosting each stat by 0.6 points, my stats looked much better. Now that my core stats were above 2, I was at the level of a cadet, though still at the bottom. It's time to go now. After appreciating the numbers for a while, I closed the laptop. It was time to head back. I wasn't sure if I could walk properly, but if I stayed here any longer and a monster found me, that would be the end. I forced my aching body up and started walking back the way I came. At 10 p.m., I finally made it back to the dorm, barely before curfew. I went straight to the shower and washed away the dirt covering my body. After such a rough workout, the warm water felt refreshing. After turning off the shower, I dried myself. I could see the 0.6-point stat increase on my body. Even without flexing or holding my breath, there was a clear 6-pack on my stomach. Though I guess that's the same for other cadets. I stopped fooling around in front of the mirror and left the bathroom. After putting on my underwear, I placed my laptop and Evandal's seed on the desk. I brought it, but... Evandal's seed. Seed containing the soul of Evandal the Witch. When this seed germinates, Evandal, the Witch of Despair, will be born. Her title made her sound evil, but if raised well, she could become a valuable ally. The environment one grew up in was the most important thing in raising any living being. So I just had to raise her properly. Feeding the seed was simple. Instead of water, I just had to give it small amounts of blood. A witch's personality and growth depended on whose blood it was. Chae Na-yoon's or Kim Soo-ho's blood would be best, but getting it was easy. I'll just hold on to you for now. I wrapped Evandal's seed in a handkerchief and put it in a drawer. Chae Na-yoon and Kim Soo-ho are model citizens who regularly donate blood. Maybe I could find a way to get their blood packs. Next, I accessed Chae Na-yoon's smartwatch to prepare for tomorrow's event. Coincidentally, she was currently talking with Sven. Sven, you're coming to the club tomorrow, right? Yeah, when are we meeting? Sven, come to the portal at 4. Why so early? Sven, the meeting place is in Gangwon-do, so let's bet on who gets more kills before the seniors arrive. Sure, that sounds nice. From the looks of it, they seem to have gotten fairly close. The meeting time was 5 p.m. according to the club announcement, but Sven had asked to meet an hour earlier, 4 p.m. After noting the time, I accessed Violent Banquet to sell the ginseng I picked up. Packhorse Master's stock price was going up. I wanted to buy more before it was too late. Violent Banquet Online Auction House. Item for sale. Description: 7-year-old ginseng dug from Gangwon-do's mountain. Please place the item on the portal for appraisal. A circular hologram projected from the laptop screen. Once I placed the ginseng on it, it would be transported to Violent Banquet's appraisal center, and the item would go on auction after appraisal. I couldn't explain how this technology worked. A portal was created from magic engineering, but I had no clue how it could be projected remotely. Modern technology wasn't advanced enough for this. But Violent Banquet could do it. The reason was simple. Violent Banquet itself was the reward of the Tower of Information. Just like the textbook said, towers gave rewards beyond anyone's imagination. The item has been transported. The appraisal result will come out within the next 24 hours. After seeing the ginseng disappear into the portal, I closed the laptop. Thursday, 3:30 p.m. I got dressed before it was too late. Thanks to the modified fatigue recovery potion, I was in peak condition. Now I just had to, coincidentally, join up with Sven and Chae Na-yoon and prevent them from being together. I wanted to chase Sven away if possible, but that was beyond me. I left the dorm and arrived at the bus station. A bus arrived soon after, but I let it pass. I had to wait for someone. Thankfully, she was easy to spot from a mile away. Just like now, her presence stood out wherever she went. "What are you doing here?" Chae Na-yoon at least acknowledged me. I tilted my head nonchalantly. Sven should already be waiting at the portal station, but I knew Chae Na-yoon would be late. That was just her personality, and I'd also seen the message she sent Sven. "Why didn't you get on the bus?" Chae Na-yoon asked me. For a moment I flinched, so she was watching me wait for the bus. Come to think of it, Chae Na-yoon had good eyes too. I was hesitating. I came out too early, so there was too much time left until the club meeting. I just decided to go through since I didn't have anything better to do. "Oh, what club are you in?" "Hunting." "Hunting? I'm in hunting too, and I don't remember seeing you." The bus arrived while Chae Na-yoon was talking. I got on, and Chae Na-yoon followed. "I didn't go to the orientation. That's probably why." "I see." Chae Na-yoon sat across from me. Then she glanced at me with doubtful eyes before speaking. "How many clubs are you in? I heard from Yanha that you were in her club." "3. "Wow, what a waste of time." "You're in 2, too." "I'm... So what?" I forced a smile and closed my eyes. I didn't want to continue this conversation. Chae Na-yoon didn't seem to mind ending it either. Without talking for the rest of the bus ride, Chae Na-yoon and I arrived at the portal station. I could see Sven in the distance. He ran toward the bus as soon as he saw it, but paused when he saw me. Soon he walked up with a smile. "You came earlier than I expected." "Mm-hmm. Oh, right. Sven, you know him, right? He's the one who helped us before, Kim Hajin."
"Yeah, I know. Hey." Sven reached out his hand and I shook it. Sven tried to let go immediately, but I didn't let him. I gripped his hand firmly and stared into his eyes. Black, lifeless eyes. My gift of observation peered into his pupils. I could sense a trace of Asmodeus's evil energy. "Hey, what are you doing?" Chae Na-yoon stepped in and separated me from Sven. No, she separated Sven from me. "Why are you picking a fight?" She snapped at me. I turned around without saying anything and walked to the portal station's entrance. I wasn't particularly skilled at distinguishing the state of djinns, but Sven was undoubtedly on a dangerous edge. I could tell just by looking at my laptop. In the original story, he dies after going berserk without accomplishing anything. Modified setting, increased self-control and mental power to help him better control Asmodeus's power. We arrived at a residential area in Gangwon-do. Gangwon-do had high mana density, so there were many monsters and wild animals. The hunting club, Leonidas, worked with the local government and residents to hunt in this area. By hunting wild animals that invaded the residential area, the cadets helped citizens while enjoying their hobby. "You met on the way here?" At the club's meeting place, Sven asked Chae Na-yoon. "Yeah." Chae Na-yoon narrowed her eyes and watched Kim Hajin. He was sitting on a rock, looking at his watch. He kept doing this while pretending to be oblivious. He kept hanging around them. Doesn't it look like he's following us? Yeah. Sven stared at Kim Hajin for a while before continuing. Be careful. About what? You heard about cadets going missing lately, right? He wouldn't do something like that. But he has an alibi. During the estimated time of the third victim, there was a record of Kim Ha-jin using a portal, so Chae Na-yoon had recommended Kim Ha-jin to the Jin investigation team. After all, Yu Yan-ha, known for her objective judgment, praised his eyesight. Really? Chae Na-yoon fell into thought, rubbing her chin. Though he wasn't a suspect, there was something strange about him. Even today, Kim Ha-jin clearly skipped a bus to take the next one with me. It's not that he likes me, I think. But thinking about it, it wasn't completely absurd. If bringing up my older brother was to draw my attention, it all made sense. Not to mention the unusually aggressive stance he took against Sven today. Oh, and even before then, at the National Weapons Museum, his partner should have been Yu Yan-ha, but he was at the museum for some reason. Of course, it was only a suspicion for now, but if that was really his intention, he was going about it the wrong way. Trying to draw someone's attention by harassing them was disgusting and shameless, and following someone around secretly was no different than stalking. No way. Chae Na-yoon shook her head and dismissed the suspicions. It didn't make sense. She couldn't even remember if they had met before the museum incident. Of course, she knew there were lots of guys who had a crush on her. Not just many, but a truckload. But still. Look, the others are here. At that moment, Sven pointed ahead. Chae Na-yoon looked up startled. The hunting club's leader and other first and second years were walking over. $546 million. 12 hours after the auction started, my ginseng was sold. $546 million. Even after the 11% auction fee, it was close to $500 million. That was with 4 missing roots too. I snapped another one off just in case. Now if I threw all this into stocks? Now come closer, everyone. A cheerful voice rang out. I turned toward the voice. The club leader and other members had arrived. Today's event would finally start. But to be honest, I didn't know much about today's event. I only wrote the conclusion. Chae Na-yoon was gravely injured by a berserk Jin, and Sven dissipated into dust. That was it. The whole point of this event was to get Kim Soo-ho to think about Chae Na-yoon. Because of today's event, Kim Soo-ho would mistake Chae Na-yoon as the Jin's target, and while everyone was paying attention to Chae Na-yoon, Yu Yan-ha would be kidnapped. It was something like that. But the biggest problem was that Sven had changed from the original story. He was calmer and more careful. Since he could use Asmodeus's power better, Chae Na-yoon might suffer a worse situation. It's nice to see everyone again. Our hunting club helps citizens by hunting wild animals, so it's like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Oh, by the way, who might you be? I don't recall seeing you at the orientation. But suddenly, he stopped and asked me. I'm Kim Ha-jin. I couldn't attend the orientation due to a personal matter. Ah, that's fine. We didn't do much at the orientation. For today, I looked for Chae Na-yoon while ignoring the club leader. I found her almost instantly, but I jumped a little in surprise. Chae Na-yoon was also staring at me, fixedly, with a suspicious look.
Chapter 32. I climbed a mountain and chose the tallest red pine at its peak. From the treetop, I looked around. With 1,000-mile eyes, nothing escaped my sight. Not the dense pine trees, nor the countless leaves. Everything was visible. A young, nameless cadet chasing a wild boar, a second-year couple making out instead of hunting, Chae Na-yoon skillfully shooting arrows, and Sven tossing pebbles by a creek. Chae Na-yoon and Sven had separated for their bet on who could hunt more wild animals. Chae Na-yoon focused on hunting, but Sven wasn't. He stared intently at the creek, clearly not looking for prey. Then something strange happened. From the opposite side of the creek, a leopard cat appeared, a common animal. Sven didn't even glance at it, but a tentacle shot from his back, spearing the leopard cat through the neck and dragging it to him. It was clearly Asmodeus's power. Sven continued hunting like this for an hour. Che-Nayun searched for animals herself, while Sven killed anything within 300 meters without moving a finger. When their agreed time ended, they met at the creek. A total of 6, 3 wild boars, 1 leopard cat, and 2 rabbits. Che-Nayun spoke proudly. Sven smiled and pointed at the pile of animals next to him. Che-Nayun's jaw dropped. Really? She approached the pile and checked. Wow, you weren't kidding. How did you find 8? Che-Nayun sat next to Sven, ruffling her hair. You brought them from somewhere, didn't you? How much did you pay? She joked, poking Sven's arm. From my perspective, it looked like Che-Nayun was leading him on, though she probably didn't mean it. So now you have to grant me a wish, right? Yeah, what do you want? They had bet on a wish. I was starting to understand why Sven lost control. Yeah? Sven looked straight into Che-Nayun's eyes, then shook his head with a grin. No, it's nothing. What is it? Tell me. I took out my gun from Stigma's extra-dimensional space. I was about 1 kilometer away, but I could snipe from here without a problem. Aether adhered to the gun, boosting its performance. You see, it made sense that Sven would go berserk if he confessed and was rejected. He'd fallen for Che-Nayun at first sight, and Asmodeus, the devil he was contracted to, was the devil of lust. A djinn with amplified emotions and obsession had little endurance. I like you. Huh? Che-Nayun frowned at the sudden confession. What are you saying so suddenly? You don't like me? Of course I don't. It's been, what, 2 days since we first talked? You expect me to fall in love with you in 2 days? Maybe you did, but I didn't. Che-Nayun stood up coldly. Sven drooped his head. He was only rejected, but his body was already starting to transform. Black magic power rose from parts of his body. I aimed my gun at his head. Plus, I like men who are stronger than me. Than you? Yeah, and you're much weaker than me, so I can't see you as a man. That was the trigger. Sven's eyes turned blood red. He'd managed to endure until now, but Sven was only an extra. This was his limit. Really? Sven stood up. Che-Nayun spoke without looking back. Yeah, so don't contact me anymore. I'm sorry, but cutting things off is better than giving you false hope. Sven leaned toward Che-Nayun. At the same time, I fired. I aimed for his head, but the bullet hit his shoulder. He moved at the last moment. Sven must have planned to jump on Che-Nayun, but my bullet made him lose balance and he ended up headbutting her instead. Che-Nayun flew forward from the impact, but landed safely with an agile roll. She quickly turned around. She saw Sven half transformed into a djinn. You. Sven glared at her and sent his tentacles after her. I fired again and again, emptying the magazine. Even while surprised by the mysterious support, Che-Nayun did what she had to do. She jumped back to gain distance and fired her bow. An arrow pierced Sven's shoulder, but he charged at her and grabbed her head. But I'm stronger than you. He slammed her to the ground, shouting, "Boom!" Sven mounted on Che-Nayun. She struggled, gathering magic power in her hand. In an instant, it formed a dagger, but Sven grabbed her wrist before she could strike. I couldn't help from this distance. Sven's body was covered in reinforced magic power. Ordinary bullets couldn't penetrate, and a light bullet would hit Che-Nayun, too. With no choice, I jumped from tree to tree, changing the Desert Eagle into shotgun form. I had to get close and blow up his head, which was less protected due to his incomplete transformation. The 1 kilometer distance vanished in moments.
Landing smoothly, I approached Sven and Che Nayun. Oop, oop. Sven had kept Che Nayun alive. Asmodeus was the devil of lust. It was clear what his contracted djinn wanted. Seeing Sven lick Che Nayun's face, I frowned in disgust and pressed the gun barrel to his head. The cold steel made him shudder. His eyes rolled toward me. I pulled the trigger. The shotgun shell tore through Sven's head. He flew away screaming. K. I looked down at Che Nayun. Her face was wet with saliva, and she was wounded, but alive. Trying to fool around and dying in vain, this was the fate of djinns of lust. Stand. As I reached out to Che Nayun, a tentacle flew at me. Aether instantly formed a shield, blocking the strike. But Sven lunged at me, brushing aside the shield and grabbing my neck. The pain was undescribable. I was choked, deprived of oxygen. I couldn't breathe or speak. All I could do was struggle. My vision blurred. I couldn't feel my limbs. My body went numb, but I didn't see my life flash before my eyes. My thoughts faded, my pulse slowed. I closed my eyes, unfamiliar with the sensation of death. "Let go, you bastard!" A shout jolted me awake. Che Nayun flew up behind Sven, swinging a long sword. From his shoulder to his waist, she sliced him cleanly in half. P. Sven collapsed in two, and I gasped for air. For the first time, I was truly grateful for oxygen. After 3 deep breaths, I leaned against a tree. Wow, what was that? A lightsaber? I pointed at the long sword in Che Nayun's hands. She'd formed a sword purely from magic power. The blade surged with energy, but the handle was calm. Achieving this harmony was difficult. Even Kim Suho couldn't do it. Only Che Nayun could, as it was part of her true gift. I don't know. The magic sword vanished. We stared at each other in silence. The more I looked, the worse her condition seemed. She was bleeding heavily, her clothes torn, underwear exposed. I took off my coat and handed it to her, but she only stared. "Take it." "Are you okay?" she asked, ignoring the coat. "Yeah, I'm glad." "What about you? Are you okay?" "I'm fine." Thud. Che Nayun collapsed as soon as she said that. It was only natural, given how much magic power she used. I turned her so she faced the sky and put my coat over her. Then I looked at where Sven had been.
Without a sound or trace, Sven vanished. This was the death of a djinn. Humans who contracted devils with their souls belonged to their devil even in death. Chua! The trees cried somberly. Tomorrow, Germany would receive tragic news. Che Nayun opened her eyes to the sound of rustling leaves and a cold breeze. The sky was dark. Before she could wonder where she was, a sharp pain swept through her head. She clutched her head as the pain like glass shards tormented her for a long time before fading. Once the pain subsided, she caught her breath, still lying on the ground. Only then did she remember what happened. Was it a dream? Everything felt distant, and she wondered if it was all a dream. But the wounds on her body and the coat covering her proved it was real. Oh, right. Che Nayun sat up. At that moment, she saw a man's silhouette and shouted in surprise. "Ugh! Oh God, you scared me!" "You're up?" It was Kim Hajin, leaning against the tree, staring at his smartwatch. It was him again. Every time something happened, he was always there. Though, thanks to him, she'd escaped death 3 times. "What time is it?" 10 at night. "What? It's curfew soon." Che Nayun tried to get up quickly, but her legs wouldn't move. She tried again, but nothing happened. No matter how many times she tried, they didn't budge. A wave of terror swept over her, making her heart pound. "What? My legs? What's wrong with my..."
Magic power exhaustion. Is it your first time?
Huh? Magic power exhaustion?
Magic power exhaustion, Chae-na-yoon had heard of. It was a state in which a person was completely drained of magic power. Once someone used up all their magic power, their recovery rate dropped drastically, and they'd be bedridden for at least 2 days. Yep. After a short reply, Kim Hajin approached her and knelt with his back to her. This odd gesture made Chae-na-yoon frown. What? Get on, you can't walk. Do I look crazy? Then what? You want to stay here forever? Kim Hajin's look of pity was humiliating, but she had no choice. She'd be in trouble without his help. Chae-na-yoon wrapped her arms around his neck and pulled herself up. I'm going. Yeah. Kim Hajin slowly began to descend the mountain. Watching the distant scenery, Chae-na-yoon fell into thought. Sven was a djinn. Was he behind the cadet's disappearances? Djinns were once human, so when did Sven become one? And where did Kim Hajin come from? Was he following me? This guy, does he really like me? Chae-na-yoon needed more time to process everything that happened today.
Chapter 33. 10:55 p.m. I arrived safely at Gangwon-do's portal station with Chae-na-yoon. Thankfully, there weren't many people around. I set Chae-na-yoon down on a nearby bench. She glanced at her smartwatch and murmured, "It's almost curfew." I was at a loss for words. Taking her back to Cube in this state was out of the question. "Contact your father," I said. "Why?" "You know why. Go get treated at a hospital." I turned toward the portal, leaving Chae-na-yoon on the bench. "I'm going." "What? Where? Take me to... Hey!" Chae-na-yoon tried to get up, but fell forward. Seeing her like that, I sighed. "You should really go to a hospital." Chae-na-yoon clenched her teeth and glared at me, her lips trembling. She clearly didn't want to call her father. It made sense. Her father was the head of a chaebol group, busy and important. Even though he'd rush over if he heard she was hurt, Chae-na-yoon didn't want that. "You have a butler or an attendant?" "Yeah, you can go." Chae-na-yoon replied curtly. "All right." I started walking toward the portal employee, then stopped. I suddenly remembered something. Today, Chae-na-yoon had subconsciously unleashed her gift, the magic power sword that cut down a djinn in a single slash. That was the gift she needed to develop. "Hey, are you still going to use a bow?" "What? What are you talking about?" "You felt it today, didn't you?" Chae-na-yoon's gift was specialized for close-range combat. More specifically, it was made for war. As long as she had a conductor for her magic power, she could amplify it tremendously. For example, her gift could turn a 2-meter sword into a monstrous 20-meter sword. And since magic power was weightless, the sword wouldn't get any heavier. In a way, it was similar to Sun Wukong's Jingu Bang. The only difference was that Chae-na-yoon didn't need a legendary weapon to show similar strength. Slaughtering hundreds of monsters with a single blow, an imperial might that could make djinns shudder in fear, Emperor of the battlefield would be her epithet. "You should be using a sword, not a bow." "Oh yeah? What do you know about me?" But Chae-na-yoon didn't know her future. She refused to even consider it. Right now, she hadn't overcome her fear of close-range combat. Never mind. Then. I stepped into the portal. I could feel her resentful gaze on my back. She was probably thinking, is he really going to leave me here? But yes, I was. The next day. Just as the saying goes, nothing travels faster than words. Last night's events had already spread everywhere. Chae-na-yoon was attacked by a djinn, and the djinn was a cadet named Sven. Chae-na-yoon won, but she was seriously injured. Even with all the rumors, Friday's class went on as usual. My meeting with Kim Soo-ho didn't delay either. He asked me to come to room 303 before 5 p.m. "It's an important matter, so don't forget. If it goes well, it can improve your grade too." After class, he reminded me again. He must have heard about what happened to Chae-na-yoon, so he was probably planning to visit her after the meeting. Yeah. I nodded.
Kim Soo-ho tapped my shoulder and hurried off. I yawned as I watched him go. It was only 3:30, so I had time for the meeting. I wanted to go back to the dorm and take a nap. But as I walked down the hallway, what? It felt like someone was following me. But when I turned around, no one was there. The presence was too calm to be a djinn. Was it an assassin? But why would an assassin follow me? Maybe I was just imagining things. I took out my laptop and kept walking. 383,131 points have been deposited. These points can be used in Violet Banquet or traded for cash. At least 10 million P required. Because of Violet Banquet's enormous fee, what was close to 600 million won had shrunk to 400 million. But that was normal. The first trade with Violet Banquet is always like this. Purchaser Youngfly has requested to talk to you. Seller's nickname will show up as Anonymous. If you have any more ginsengs, I'd like to buy them. I didn't accept the request. I didn't have any more ginseng to sell anyway. Now, I turned around quickly. Sha. In a flash, someone hid behind the wall, but my eyes could see through walls. It was someone unexpected. Rachel. She was pressed against the wall, holding her beating heart. Was I mistaken? To figure out why she was following me, I turned back around and turned off my laptop. Using its black screen as a mirror, I looked behind me. When I started walking, Rachel peeked her head out. Her gaze was fixed on my bag. But why my bag? The only thing in it was a notebook. This was the way to the library. The dorm was right next to it. Is she trying to steal my notebook? No, a princess wouldn't do that. Besides, there wasn't anything valuable in it. I kept walking, and Rachel tenaciously followed me. She didn't stop until I entered my dorm. Did she really follow me all the way here? When I looked out the dorm window, she was glaring at the building with a regretful face. Interesting. I walked into my room with a grin. After a light nap, I left the dorm and arrived at room 303 just as Soo-ro had told me. There was already quite a group. Shin Jong-hak, Yoon Ya-ha, Kim Ho-rak, and Yan Young-hun. It almost looked like a scene from my novel. Kim Soo-ho and his friends versus Shin Jong-hak and his lackeys. Even Kim Ho-rak, the weakest one here, had a fairly important role until the middle of the story. I felt completely out of place. They didn't say anything when they saw me, so I spoke first. "Why did you call me?" I asked, pretending not to know. But even that innocent question made Shin Jong-hak frown. Thankfully, Kim Soo-ho explained before Shin Jong-hak could complain. "I haven't told Hajin why we're meeting yet." "So what is it?" Kim Soo-ho stood up at my question. He should have stayed seated. His height made me uncomfortable. I'd set his height to 185 centimeters, and now I regretted it. "Hajin, you've heard about cadets going missing?" "Yeah? It's about that. Cube entrusted us with investigating the cause. Of course, they'll do their own investigation, but since it's likely the culprit is a student, they think it'll be easier for students to investigate." I was about to nod, but then remembered this was supposed to be my first time hearing about it. I dropped my jaw, pretending to be surprised. "But why me?" "You have good eyes. I heard you can see over 1,000 miles away." "Well, yeah, I do have good eyes." "So it was really just for that?" I forced a smile and sat down. Kim Soo-ho naturally took the seat at the head of the table. Kim Soo-ho looked into my eyes and asked me, "Will you help us?" "I don't know if I can." "Thanks." Kim Soo-ho smiled happily. He then cleared his throat and brought up yesterday's incident. "First, I don't think the djinn who attacked Naeun is the culprit, but—"
Shin Jong-hak interrupted. "Naeun?" He was picking at the fact that Kim Soo-ho didn't use Chae Na-yoon's last name. "But I think there's a high chance Chae Na-yoon is the real culprit's next target. Djinns follow their contracted devil's orders, so if Sven's contracted devil ordered him to attack Chae Na-yoon, it makes sense that another djinn would go after her." It was a good theory, but wrong. Sven's contracted devil and the culprit's contracted devil weren't the same. Asmodeus and Lilith had completely different dispositions. So I'm wondering, can you think of anyone suspicious? Someone who's been acting strangely? Before the real investigation began, Kim Soo-ho asked for everyone's opinions, but no one spoke up, and Yu Yan-ha was staring at me. Soon, Shin Jong-hak and Kim Ha-rak also turned their gaze toward me. I knew the real culprit, but I was hesitant to reveal his name without proof. The culprit should be leaving traces, but he was moving too quickly. In the original story, 6 people went missing in 2 months, but here 3 people had gone missing in just 2 weeks. I felt guilty letting more people die just to wait for the story to catch up. At this rate, there could be more victims than in the original. Maybe it was better to say his name, so the investigation team had somewhere to start. Yeah, I have someone in mind. 5 eyes focused on me. Who? Kim Soo-ho asked. I slowly opened my mouth and spoke the real culprit's name. Yoon Hyun. Immediately, a deep silence filled the room. No one reacted. Soon, Yu Yan-ha's mocking laughter broke the silence, and Kim Soo-ho gently rebutted. That person has an alibi. We already looked into him because he was close to the first victim. It was obvious Yoon Hyun had an alibi. But what if the victim went to Yoon Hyun on her own? A mental magic that could lure a cadet? Yeah, that makes sense. Shin Jong-hak replied sarcastically, his eyes full of contempt. Just like he said, it wasn't easy to lure a cadet with mental magic. Even if it was possible, it would be suspicious. People under mental magic moved like puppets. However, if it's mental magic, yeah, but it was different if it was love. That was the biggest difference between enchantment and mental magic. Someone in love didn't know they were bewitched. Screw the useless talk. Shin Jong-hak cut me off before I could finish. He kicked an empty chair, which rolled toward my leg. As for me, at that moment, Yu Yan-ha smiled dangerously. She slowly raised her hand and pointed at me. I'm more suspicious of you. What? My mind went blank. It was so sudden I froze. Yu Yan-ha, that's not right either. Hajin has an alibi. Kim Soo-ho quickly refuted her, but Yu Yan-ha easily countered. His alibi is a record of him using the portal. If he's a djinn, tampering with that should be easy. Compared to Senior Yoon Hyun, who was with others, that person is much more... Why don't we beat him up first? Kim Ha-rak stood up, cracking his knuckles and flexing his muscles. He looked like a miniature ogre. I'm sure he'll sing or transform if he's beaten. Hey, get up. Yu Yan-ha and Kim Ha-rak, Shin Jong-hak and Ik-yun, everyone except Kim Soo-ho looked at me with suspicion. As the one in the middle, I was furious. I'd never been falsely accused like this, not even in a mafia game. So this was what it felt like. Should I not have brought up Yoon Hyun's name? No. Even if I hadn't, this would have happened anyway. Yu Yan-ha must have planned it from the start. Jong-hak, I can break an arm or two, right? The ogre asked for Shin Jong-hak's consent. Before he could answer, I jumped out of my chair. Yeah, come at me, you fat son of a bitch. I'll drill a hole in your head. What did you say? Look at this crazy bastard. Kim Ha-rak raised his voice. I took out my gun from my back pocket, but Kim Ha-rak only snorted. You think that can make me flinch? Kim Ha-rak got ready to charge. I lowered my center of gravity. I had aether. I could take down a stupid pig whenever I wanted. Stop. But at that moment, Kim Soo-ho stepped between us, his training sword drawn. Now's not the time for this. Hajin, calm down too. I snapped back to reality, seeing the cold flash of his sword. Though I shouted boldly, Kim Ha-rak was too strong for me right now. Don't get angry. If you get angry, you lose. I took a deep breath and pointed at Yu Yan-ha. You, if you're doubtful, ask Chae Na-yoon.
What does Nayun have to do with this? I was talking to Yu Yan-ha, but Shin Jong-hak reacted. When she was attacked by a djinn, I was there too. We killed him together. Didn't she tell you yet? I glared at Yu Yan-ha. She met my gaze calmly, without a word. Anyway, I made myself clear. The culprit is Yun Hyun. After leaving those words to Yu Yan-ha, the final victim, I turned around. As I walked out, I tripped. My body slipped to the side. But in the path I was walking, a fat boar suddenly flew in and smashed against the wall. The charge was too quick for a boar and too destructive for an attack on a fellow cadet. A crack appeared on Cube's reinforced wall. Oh, you dodged that? Shin Jong-hak's lips twisted in interest. That was Kim Ha-rak's tackle. If it hit, I wouldn't have gotten away with just a few broken bones. You son of a bitch. Kim Ha-rak stood up. For someone who attacked first, he sure was angry. I had no choice. I pointed my gun at him. I think I need to teach you a lesson. But Kim Soo-ho stopped us again, this time with action. Magic power rose from this sword and separated me from Kim Ha-rak. If you're that suspicious, just ask Nayun, Yu Yan-ha. He shouted at Yu Yan-ha. Even the proud Yu Yan-ha shrank under Kim Soo-ho's furious look. Wait a minute. Yu Yan-ha clicked her tongue and turned on her smartwatch.
Chapter 34. Yu Yun-ha called Che Ne-yun to confirm if what Kim Hajin said was true. Che Ne-yun carefully explained what happened the day before, and it matched Kim Hajin's account exactly. In fact, Che Ne-yun even made a firm statement. "There's no way Kim Hajin is a djinn," she said. The meeting ended soon after. Kim Ha-jin stormed out of the room with Kim Soo-ho and Yi Young-han chasing after him. Once the brief but intense commotion passed, room 303 fell silent. The three remaining people didn't speak. In the quiet, Yu Yun-ha noticed Kim Ha-rak massaging his right shoulder. "Does it hurt?" No, I'm fine." "That was your gift, right?" Many cadets already knew about Kim Ha-rak's gift. It was that straightforward, a simple and brute gift that instantly amplified his body's explosive and destructive power. This easy-to-understand gift was one of the strongest for martial arts. Kim Ha-rak avoided Yu Yun-ha's gaze. He wasn't sorry for wrongly accusing Kim Ha-jin. He was just embarrassed that his attack had been dodged so easily. Yu Yun-ha sighed and glanced at Shin Jong-hak. For a while, he only stared at his smartwatch. Was he messaging Che Ne-yun? That's what Yu Yun-ha worried about. "Jong-hak, what are you up to?" Yu Yun-ha approached him with affectionate smile. Shin Jong-hak answered without even glancing at her. "I'm looking to see if there's more of an item I bought." "Item?" "Yeah, I bought something." "What did you buy?" Yu Yun-ha tugged on Shin Jong-hak's arm, acting cute in her own way. "You don't need to know." But Shin Jong-hak pushed her away. Yu Yun-ha's face froze at his cold response. "Tisk, if we're done, I'm leaving." Shin Jong-hak clicked his tongue and stood up. In his mind, his actions were justified. The website he was browsing was the famous Violet Banquet. However, Cube cadets were prohibited from being members of that site. In fact, owning any black market ID was enough to get a cadet expelled. Even so, his indifferent attitude hurt Yu Yun-ha's feelings. "Kim Ha-rak, aren't you coming?" Huh? Oh, yeah." Kim Ha-rak, who had been peeking at Yu Yun-ha's face, followed Shin Jong-hak like a puppy. Just like that, Yu Yun-ha was left alone. She looked around the empty room. Suddenly, anger welled up inside her. This wasn't the first time something like this had happened. Now she was starting to get upset. "Shin Jong-hak, you bastard! Just what part of Che Ne-yun is better than me?" But what can I do? I just have to try harder." As Yu Yun-ha was about to chase after Shin Jong-hak, her smartwatch vibrated. It was a message from Yoon Hyun. "There's going to be a preparatory exam next Monday. You're coming, right?" Club activities stopped during exam periods, but the academics club offered peer tutoring during this time. Yoo Yun-ha started typing a reply, but suddenly remembered what Kim Hajin had said, that the culprit of this incident was Yoon Yeon. "Stupid!" Yoo Yun-ha dismissed the thought and sent her reply. 9 p.m. I was sitting on a bench. I'd already chased away Kim Soo-ho and Yi Young-han, who tried to comfort me. In an empty park, I stared up at the night sky alone, letting the bitterness in my heart out. I reflected on what had happened. Not only was I thrown into my own novel, but I got into an argument with characters I'd created with care. All the feelings I'd kept pent up exploded today. I wanted to stop. I wanted to go back to my old one-room apartment. I wanted to see my parents. I had avoided them, saying I was too busy, but now I was full of regret. How was time flowing in my old world? If it was the same as here, I should be a missing person by now. I might even be considered dead by the time I return. After all, I would have to spend close to 10 years in this world. At this point, I was glad I raised my perseverance stat. In this world, I had nothing. The memories, relationships, and feelings I'd built up, none of them were here. My old self wouldn't have been able to endure it. Even if I didn't have the courage to commit suicide, I would have given up hope of returning home. I might have given up on being part of the main storyline and just lived a normal life. I want to see you, Mom. It felt strange to say this as a 26-year-old man, but my voice trembled with sincerity. I hope she's healthy. I hope she's getting along with Dad. If time was flowing normally in the other world, I hope they'd find out about my disappearance as late as possible. I didn't even want to imagine them being sad because of me. Once I started thinking like this, it was hard to stop. I remembered my friends. I used to curse them for calling me when I was busy, but I missed them, especially today. Even the seniors from college and the army who liked to mess with me popped into my head. Both the good and bad connections I'd made in my life lit up in my heart like stars. But the outside world was still dark, and not even a faint starlight existed in its sky. Dreaming of stars in a starless world only filled me with anguish. I wiped my reddened eyes and stood up. The handgun in my hand was still cold and heavy. The sensation was like a familiar scent. My high perseverance stat really did give me amazing recuperative power. A day was enough to mend my mental state, and after working out, hunting, and buying stocks as usual, the weekend flew by in the blink of an eye. Exams are next week, starting with the written exams. The combat exams will be the following week. But remember what I've always said, written exams are just as important as combat exams. Today was Monday. The professor spoke in a grave tone. Just as he said, the midterm exams would begin in a week. I was a bit apprehensive. Of course, I had nothing to worry about the written exams, but the problem was the combat exams. In duels, cadets fought each other one-on-one. In Monster Wars, cadets fought illusion monsters summoned by magicians, not monopuppets. Cadets didn't hold back in duels to maximize their points, and the summoned monsters in Monster Wars were on a completely different level from monopuppets. In a way, they were no different than real monsters. So I had to prepare myself for the pain of getting my flesh cut or my bones broken. But putting aside my worries about the exams, I couldn't focus on today's class because of someone sitting next to me. Rachel. She always sat by herself in the back, but ever since the results of the Phenomenon Realm Analysis exam, she had been getting closer and closer to me, seat by seat. Now she was sitting next to me. To be exact, there was still an empty seat between us. Still, Rachel kept sneaking glances at my notebook. She wasn't just stealing a look, she seemed to be writing something down. Just to be sure, I wrote a random string of words. You, Kim, Oak, Jun Ja. Yuok Ja. Kim Jun-yuk, my mother's and father's names. I rolled my eyes to the side and watched Rachel.
As expected, she snuck a glance and quickly jotted something down in her notebook. With my eyes, I could clearly see the words Yu Kim Ok Jun Ha Yuk. Next, I scribbled a string of numbers next to my parents' names, my father's and mother's birthdays. Rachel also wrote down the numbers. Next, I scribbled the name of the dog I used to have, then Ipsmid, an anagram of I'm stupid. The class ended while I was still messing around with Rachel. Good luck on your exams next week. The results will be posted for everyone to see, so don't embarrass yourselves. The professor left after reminding the cadets. Immediately, Che Nayeon's seat became noisy. Che Nayeon had returned from the hospital today. She still had trouble moving and wore all sorts of supporting equipment. Just like in the original story, Kim Soo-ho and Shin Jung-hak ran up to her. "What's wrong with you guys? I can move just fine by myself." They backed off slightly at Che Nayeon's complaint, but still hovered around her. "Kim Soo-ho, you should leave." "Why? Can't you see Nayeon is uncomfortable with you around?" Shin Jung-hak was provoking Kim Soo-ho as usual, and one girl watched them from the side with somewhat lonely eyes. She smiled, acting as though she was fine, but I knew she felt alienated. Obviously, it was Yoon Ya-ha. Yoon Ya-ha approached Che Nayeon and the others and spoke. "Jung-hak, Nayeon, I'm going first." "Yeah, Oh, bye, Yoon-ya. Good luck studying." Shin Jung-hak and Che Nayeon's greetings were just for courtesy. Yoon Ya-ha left the classroom, biting her lips. I packed my laptop and writing utensils and walked out the back door. Immediately, I ran into Yoon Ya-ha. She should have gone left, to the dorm, but for some reason she chose the opposite direction. "Where are you going?" I asked. "To the dorm." Like I said, this wasn't the way to the dorm, but I didn't want to keep talking to her. "I see." Yoon Ya-ha didn't say anything more either. She simply made a small bow and walked past me. Yoon Ya-ha opened the clubroom door. The clubroom looked no different than usual, but the empty room felt a bit chilly. The only person inside was Yoon Hyun, who was reading on the teaching platform. Yoon Hyun tilted his head. Where'd everyone go? At that moment, Yoon Hyun noticed Yoon Ya-ha and walked over. "You're here?" "Yes." "Come take a seat." Yoon Ya-ha sat down. Not having anyone else around made her uneasy, but she soon calmed down. It was likely thanks to Yoon Hyun. For some reason, his presence was calming and cozy, so Yoon Ya-ha could always relax around him. "Where did everyone go?" "Oh right, Yoon-ya, I heard you joined the team." "Team?" "You know, the Jin investigation team. I'm in it too, as the second-year representative." Yoon Hyun's voice was clear and firm. At least that's how Yoon Ya-ha felt. "Oh, really?" As expected, Kim Ha-jeon's suspicion was complete nonsense. "But we haven't made any progress. Do you guys have any leads? Any suspects?" "No, not yet." "Really? So you guys haven't made any progress either?" Yoon Jun asked softly. Yoon Ya-ha thought about his polite manner. Progress. There wasn't any. The meeting was disbanded before anything happened. One person did say something, but it was stupid. Stupid? I'm curious what it was. Yoon Hyun leaned against the desk Yoon Ya-ha was sitting at and placed down a scented candle. "What's this?" "A scented candle. It'll help when we're studying later. Anyway, what did this person say?" Yoon Hyun asked with a kind smile. Yoon Ya-ha smelled the candle. It was aromatic and gentle. Her body relaxed and the day's exhaustion seemed to fade away. "Tell me." "It's nothing really." Yoon Ya-ha smirked. "Some guy was saying you were a djinn, that you could use some sort of mental magic. Absurd, isn't it?" After answering, Yoon Ya-ha sniffed the candle again. The wonderful fragrance was almost addicting. Because she was focused on the candle, she didn't see Yoon Hyun's face. "Does he have proof?" "No." At that moment, Yoon Ya-ha suddenly snapped out of her daze. Tension welled up in her body again. She turned to Yoon-hyun and glared at him. When being suspected, most innocent people wouldn't ask if there was evidence, at least not as their first question. After all, there could possibly be no evidence against someone who didn't commit a crime. Oh, oops, I misspoke. What a funny kid. On what grounds is he calling me a jinn? Yoon-hyun realized his mistake and quickly corrected himself. But it was too late. Yoon-yaha backed away, pulling out her whip from her back pocket and pointing it at Yoon-hyun. "Who are you?" "What's wrong, Yoon-yaha?" He smiled. The gentle arc of his eyes and lips quickly twisted into something vicious. "It's not your turn yet."
Chapter 35. With exams starting next week, the fitness center was packed with cadets. "Hayap! Yup!" Spirited shouts echoed from the sparring rooms, piercing through the walls, while the clash of magic power created sharp sonic booms. In the physical training room, cadets lifted 120 kg dumbbells with ease. I was working out among these monsters. What I could do was pathetic compared to the others, but I poured out sweat and effort in my own way. Wing! Oh! Using my smartwatch's vibration as an excuse, I put down the bar I was lifting. Dizziness hit me right away. It seemed 130 kg on the bench press was still too much. I wiped my sweat with the towel around my neck and checked my smartwatch. "The documents are ready, but are you really going to invest so much money in us?" Of the $500 million I earned from selling the ginseng, I bought stocks with $250 million and invested the rest into SH Agency. I knew SH Agency would become just as successful as Packhorse Master. "Of course, I'll see you tomorrow." Why us? It seemed Park Soo-hik was quite confused, but I couldn't blame him. The current SH Agency was a tiny, nameless company that had yet to accomplish anything. "It's fun, growing bigger together. Don't you think it'll be nice to see each other grow?" I wasn't investing in a company, but in a person. That was how exceptional Park Soo-hik was. He was a future tycoon, jumping into this business without any connections and managing to build the world's most brilliant enterprise. "Ah, yes. Then I'll see you tomorrow with all the documents and contracts. Thank you once again." "No problem. See you then." After ending my conversation with Park Soo-hik, I lay down on the bench press again, but as soon as I put my hands on the bar, my wrist vibrated once more. Who was it now? When I looked at my smartwatch, I couldn't help but furrow my brows. It was Yoon-ha. 9. I couldn't understand why she would suddenly message me, and the content was even more mysterious. It was just a single number. Did she press the wrong button? What's up with her? Since she didn't say anything else, I ignored it and put my hands back on the bar. Putting strength into my whole body, I lifted it with steady breathing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 9. 9. 9. Suddenly, I thought of something. Don't tell me, is this a rescue signal? Yoon-ha was currently detained in the penthouse room of Cube's second-year dorm. No matter how elite Yoon-ha was, she couldn't do anything against a djinn loved by Lilith. Yoon-hyun easily subdued her, stored her in an extra-dimensional pocket, and brought her here. He couldn't be as meticulous as usual in hiding his tracks, and Yoon-ha's struggle was surely caught on CCTV, but since he planned to leave Cube after this, he didn't care. "Oh, this is him, the quick-witted one who said I was a djinn." Yoon-hyun looked at Yoon-ha's smartwatch, which he had just snatched, and grinned. The message Yoon-ha sent Kim Hajin was displayed on the screen. "Looks like I'll need to kill him later. Anyway, what's this? 9. That's all you sent to ask for help? Who would understand something so cryptic?" Yoon-hyun dropped the smartwatch and stomped on it. Cube's proud smartwatch shattered easily.
Of course, even if he understood what you meant, he wouldn't be able to come in here. There's a barrier around this place, you see. Yu Yanha glared fiercely at Yun-hyun, clenching her teeth. Seeing her glare, Yun-hyun trembled in ecstasy. Ah, amazing. Those eyes are amazing. It's okay, Yun-ha. Soon you'll come to like me too. Tap, tap. Yun-hyun slowly approached Yu Yun-ha, who was tied to a chair. She struggled fiercely, but the restraint spell kept her from moving. You have beautiful skin. Yun-hyun put his hands on Yu Yun-ha's thigh. A faint handprint was left on her white skin. At the disgusting sensation, like a snake licking her, Yu Yun-ha teared up. Once is enough. You won't be able to escape afterward. Lilithneem allowed it for today, too. That's right, Lilithneem wants you, too. Yun-hyun spoke leisurely. The devil of enchantment bewitched people on a fundamental level. Once Yun-hyun had his way, Yu Yun-ha would become a completely different person. Yun-ha, weren't you lonely? I know that feeling, too. Speaking persuasively, Yun-hyun placed his hand on Yu Yun-ha's neck. A magic muddling power was in his breath. Yu Yun-ha trembled. No matter how strong her mental power was, ecstasy forced by magic power was not something she could resist. If she could, she would have bitten her own tongue to end her life. It's easier if you give up. Yun-hyun caressed Yu Yun-ha's face and whispered softly. A magic power of passion flowed from his hand into her. The magic power stimulated many parts of her body and urged her to submit. An intense pleasure, like euphoria, overwhelmed her. In the end, she let out a small, aroused moan. Clang! But at that moment, a flash of light erupted from the window, and a translucent beam of light pierced Yun-hyun. What? Yun-hyun was dazed by the unexpected attack and fell to his knee. While he struggled to comprehend what had happened, an unidentifiable voice rang out in the room. Serves you right for not listening to me and suspecting me. Yu Yun-ha's eyes shot open at the familiar voice. Yun-hyun tried to imbue magic power into his injured leg, but the special regenerative power of Jin's didn't activate, only the pain increased. Don't think about recovering from that wound. I refined that bullet to be a bit more efficient, unless you undergo surgery to take it out. Shut up! Yun-hyun shot up with a roar. Red magic power erupted from his body. His bloodshot eyes glanced around the empty room in vain. Where are you? Show yourself! Yun-hyun swung his magic power around desperately. The storm of magic power swept through the room, but nothing changed. You can try all you want, but you won't be able to reach me. I'm far, far away, you see. You little rat. As in response to Yun-hyun's curse, a single bullet shot through the window and pierced his shoulder. Yun-hyun felt rage before pain. You! Yun-hyun swung his arms frantically. Show yourself! Show yourself, you son of a bitch! His frenzied cry muddled his speech, making it hard to tell if a human or an animal was making the noise. Then a few more bullets flew in through the window. Yun-hyun erupted in furious rage. Now he was no different from a beast. This is why people enjoy sniping. With a mocking taunt, another bullet flew in. This time it hit Yun-hyun's chest. He collapsed from the shock, then began to crawl pitifully using his hands. Immediately, bullets pierced his knees and shoulders. It was a critical blow, preventing him from moving further.
The bullets had all come from the window. Yun-hyun thought he just had to hide from sight. But the cold-hearted sharpshooter showed no mercy. Another white shooting star flew in through the window and pierced his back. Yun-hyun's hands trembled and his bloodshot eyes widened. So durable. Yu Yena. I'm about to use up all the bullets you gave me. If you have a conscience, provide me with better ones. Yu Yena couldn't laugh at the man's joking words. Yoon Hyun was in a pitiful state while a man was protecting her from far away. Realizing she would survive, she relaxed. When the tension in her body disappeared, drowsiness overwhelmed her. If you're tired, just sleep. Kim Soo-ho should be arriving soon. Before she fell asleep, as the man said, Yoon Yena asked the one question she had. By the way, where are you talking from? Above you. The ceiling speaker. I hacked into it. Oh, I see. Yu Yena chuckled and closed her eyes. At first, I thoughtlessly asked the Book of Truth whether Yoon Hyun had kidnapped Yu Yena. The Book of Truth answered yes, and I shot up in surprise. Not only was the schedule moved up, but I was also notified of a settings change. Because my novel was for all ages, I made Yoon Hyun impotent, but an absurd setting had been added to his genitals. I immediately alerted Kim Soo-ho, but since every second was vital, I set out myself. I ran to a mountaintop with a clear view of the second-year cadets' dorm. I only needed 5 minutes to climb the mountain thanks to my increased vitality and stamina. As a result, I could save Yu Yena before it was too late. Thank God I chose to come. Just now, Kim Soo-ho barged into Yoon Hyun's penthouse after breaking the barrier. Yoon Hyun resisted with what little strength he had left, but Kim Soo-ho cut him down with a single slash. But it's better than I expected. I stared at the giant anti-material sniper rifle in my hand in admiration. With the length of 1.5 meters, it flaunted a domineering and beautiful appearance. The gun barrel, designed to amplify firepower, looked vicious, but its platinum color and golden patterns give it a noble elegance. This sniper rifle was the result of Aether and Desert Eagle's fusion. I had created it just now using SP. Sniper Rifle Mode transforms into a high-powered sniper rifle when fused with Aether. Even after adding the restriction that Aether had to be used, the modification cost 250 SP. Using this anti-material sniper rifle, I sniped a target 1.5 kilometers away. I saw the enemy from a distance where I couldn't be seen and sniped an enemy from a distance where I couldn't be attacked. It was quite exhilarating. I'm sure Kim Soo-ho will take care of the rest. I canceled the fusion between Aether and Desert Eagle. The 1.5-meter-long sniper rifle returned to its normal handgun form. You obtained 457 SP. An incredible luck applies. You obtained an additional 11% as a bonus. You succeeded in a long-range snipe. Proficiency of Master Sharpshooter increases to grade 7. I gained a lot of SP in a single day. It was to be expected since I completed a major arc. I sat down on the ground and watched what was happening far away. Kim Soo-ho was putting Yu Yena on his back while Cube's heroes rushed into the dorm. With this, the number of victims had decreased. Though faint, a point of contact was also created between Yu Yena and Kim Soo-ho. Since Kim Soo-ho was a kind main character, I was sure he would treat Yu Yena well. Though things had become a bit messy, overall I was satisfied with the outcome.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like the video. Have a suggestion? Let me know in the comments.